Hello everyone, I am Jigyasa Chauhan and welcome back to our channel Jahin Classes Fundai Clear. So in this video, I will explain you all about Class A Civics chapter number 1, which is the Indian Constitution. So basically in this chapter we are going to look at the constitution of our country India. So first of all, let me tell you what is a constitution. So let's take an example. If there is a football match, so there are many kinds of rules which are fundamental to it. Like without these rules the game would not be successful. So similarly, to make the country successful, to make the country run successfully, there are many kinds of rules which are fundamental to it. So all the rules are written in a book which is known as a constitution. So constitution plays a very major role in a democracy. Countries which are having constitution not necessary to be a democratic, but a democratic country would always have a constitution. So let's take an example of China. It is having a constitution, but it is not a democratic country because the provisions of a democratic country is not followed in China. So in this chapter we will look at the constitution, like why a country needs a constitution. Then we will look how the Indian constitution was made, and then we will look at the key features of our Indian constitution. So let's get start our chapter with the first topic, which is why does a country need a constitution? So in this topic we are going to answer a question, why a country needs a constitution. So a country needs a constitution because a constitution plays various purposes in a country. So first of all, it lays down the degree of trust and coordination between the people who are living in the country. So in our country there is a kind of diversity. There are people from different communities, they are speaking different languages, they are following different culture, and they are from different backgrounds. So constitution generates a degree of trust and coordination between the people who are living in our country. So secondly, it lays down the limit on the power of the constitution. So government can also misuse its power to suppress other political parties. Just take an example of a class monitor. A class monitor can easily misuse its power. So in the same way, a government can also misuse its power. So constitution limits on the power of the government. Thirdly, it can save us from ourselves. Like sometimes in frustration we can take wrong decisions, but our constitution is this much rigid and flexible that it does not allow easy overthrow of its provision, and its basic structure can't be changed. Fourthly, it reflects the aspiration of the citizen for creating a good country or a good society. So let me explain you this point with an example. Suppose there are so many thieves and they collectively form their country. So they are given the task of making the constitution of their country. So they would be willing to make the constitution that would prove beneficial for them. So their aspiration would be reflected in their constitution. So in this way, the constitution reflects the ideals of the country, the aspiration of the citizen for creating a good society or a good country. Fifthly, there are many kind of, like in a country there is a dominant group and minorities. So the group which is in the majority or which is superior is called dominant group. So a dominant group can easily suppress the minority. To stop this, a constitution is needed. So a constitution does not allow these type of domination. So domination could be intra-community domination and inter-community domination. So when the member of one community is dominating the member of another community, it is called inter-community domination. And when the member of the community is dominating the member of the same community, it is called intra-community domination. So in our book, a case study of Nepal is given. Previously, the Nepal was a monarch and it was having a constitution, but the constitution was reflecting its ideals that the final authority would rest in the hand of the king, and in this way, it was a monarch. And monarchy was being followed and the monarchy was being followed there, but the people protested against it and they rewritten their constitution, which was reflecting their aspiration for creating a democratic country, and they finally succeeded in this in 2008 and Nepal became a democratic country. So in this way, a constitution reflects the ideals of the country. It reflects the aspiration of the citizen for creating a good society. So next topic is The Indian Constitution key features. So in this topic we will answer the question how the Indian Constitution was written. So there was a Constituent Assembly, the group of leaders who were given the task of creating the constitution for our country. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee, and around 300 members of the Constituent Assembly met periodically for 3 years between 1946 to 1949, and on 26 November 1949 they finally succeeded in making our constitution. So there were many leaders who were from different backgrounds, different community, yet there was a sense of dignity among them, a sense of unity among these members. But the process was not so easy because of the partition, because it was such a violentful partition, and there were many kind of undecided princely state and many refugees that came from the Bangladesh. So now we will look at the key features of our constitution one by one. So first is federalism. So federalism is the structure of the government which involves existence of more than one level of the government. So in our country India there are three levels of the government. First is national level, second is state level, and the third is the local level. So at the national level there is central or union government, at the state level there is state government, and at the third level there is panchayati raj system. So state can control its own affair, but the same affairs can be controlled by the single government, which is the central government or union government. So the constitution specifies what kind of work these levels would do, and it also specifies how much money would be given to these levels. So having more than one level of the government ensures the citizen about the proper administration. So next key feature is parliamentary form of the government. So in our country, parliamentary form of government is allowed, which means that the law-making power of the country would be given to the parliament. Parliament is the group of elected representatives, the representatives which we elect. So who elect these representatives? The citizen of the India elect these representatives. In our country, there is a system of universal adult franchise, which means that every adult citizen of India have the right to vote. So these representatives are elected by the common people, thus they are supposed to be more accountable and answerable to the people. So if they misuse their power, they can be changed. So next key feature is separation of power. So in our country there is a separation of power. The constitution has divided the state into three organs. First is legislature, then executive, and thirdly the judiciary. So legislature is responsible for making the law. They are in charge of making the law. Secondly, the executive are the smaller group of people who are responsible for carrying out an action of the government. They are responsible for implementing these laws. And thirdly, the judiciary. The judiciary is the system of court in a country to seek justice. So the constitution says that each organ should exercise different powers. So there is a kind of separation of power to balance these powers. So our next key feature is fundamental rights. So fundamental rights protect the citizen of the country against any arbitrary exercise of power by the state. So every citizen of India have these fundamental rights. So there are 6 fundamental rights in our country. So first is right to equality, which means that every citizen of India has to follow the same law. Every citizen of India is equal before law, and the state cannot discriminate against any citizen on the basis of his or her caste, religion, gender, sex, or the place of birth. Then there is right to freedom, which means that there is a right to freedom of expression, speech, belief, etc. And they are also allowed to reside in any part of the country they want to. Thirdly, there is right against exploitation, which prohibits the human trafficking, the selling or purchasing of humans, especially children and women, and which also prohibits the slavery system, the beggar system, the slavery system, and the children working under the age of 14 years. Thirdly, there is a right to freedom of religion, which means that we can exercise whichever religion we want to. We can easily follow our religion. Fifthly, there is a cultural and educational right, which means that minorities can set up their education institution to preserve and develop their own culture. And fifthly, there is right to constitutional remedies, which means that any citizen of India can move to court if they believe any of their rights have been violated. So our next key feature of the constitution is secularism. So belief in or support to a secular system is known as secularism. A secular state is one that which allows its citizens to follow, preach or practice any religion which they want. A secular state which is one that which does not officially promote any one religion as the state religion. So this was the end of the chapter. I have covered all the topics related with this chapter, and next chapter of this book will be covered in the further upcoming video. So thank you very much.